Action.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Miss Kelleher, and today we are going to be talking about finding the key details in a story. We will specifically be talking about 4 categories of key details, which are who, which is the person, the people, or the main character in the book, what, which is what's going on in the book, where the book takes place, and when the book takes place, the time of day, the year, or the date. The where and the when of the story are not always clearly written in the book, so you might have to use clues from the story, from the pictures, to find it out. We will be using graphic organizers to organize key details of the story. Graphic organizers are used to organize our thoughts and ideas. Now I'll show you how to identify the key details within a story. I'm going to read a story and will point out the key details within the story. When I come across a key detail in the story, I will verbally answer what the key detail is, who, what, where, when, and then place the key detail on the correct bubble on the graphic organizer I have here. Our story is The Teacher from the Black Lagoon by Mike Thaler. It's the first day of school. I wonder who my teacher is. When is the first day of school? And where is school? I hear Mr. Smith has dandruff and warts, and Miss Jones has a whip and a wig. Mr. Smith and Mrs. Jones are both whose? But Mr. Green is supposed to be a real monster. Oh my, I have her. Mrs. Green, room 109. What a bummer. Room 109 is a where? And the main character thinks Miss Green is a real monster is a what? I sit at a desk, fold my hands, I close my eyes, I'm too young to die. Suddenly a shadow covers the door. It opens. In slithers Mrs. Green. She's really green. She has a tail. She scratches her name on the blackboard with her claws. Mrs. Green is a who? Freddie Jones throws a spitball. She curls her lips and breathes fire at him. Freddie's gone. There's just a little pile of ashes on his desk. Freddie Jones is also a who? Talk about bad breath, giggles Eric Porter. She slithers over, unscrews his head, and puts it on the globe stand. Eric Porter is a who? I bet she gives homework on the first day of school. Your homework for today, grins Mrs. Green, smoke rising from her nostrils, is pages 1 to 200 in your math book, all the fraction problems. We've never had fractions, shouts Derek Bloom. Come up here, she beckons with her claw. Derek Bloom is a who? Derek stands by her desk. This is a whole boy, she smirks. She takes a big bite. This is half a boy. Now you've had fractions. Doris Foodle cracks her gum. Miss Green swallows her in one gulp. No chewing in class, she smiles. Doris Foodle is a who? Mr. Bender, the principal, sticks his head in. Keep up the good work, he nods and closes the door. I wish I could get sent to the principal's office. Let's call the roll, cackles Mrs. Green. Freddie Jones is absent. Derek Bloom is half here. Eric Porter is here and there. Doris Foodle is digesting. Mr. Bender is a who? What about spelling, shouts Randy Potts. Spelling can be fun, beams Mrs. Green, wriggling her fingers at him. Abracadabra kazam. That's tough to spell, says Randy. Suddenly there's a flash of light, a puff of smoke, and Randy's a frog. Randy Potts is a who? Penny Weber raises her hand. Can I go to the nurse, she whines. What's wrong, Mrs. Green? Asks Mrs. Green. I have a huge headache, says Penny. Mrs. Green wiggles her fingers. There's a flash of light, and Penny's head is the size of a pin. Better, asks Mrs. Green. Penny Weber is a who? Now it's nap time. Everyone who still has one, put your head on your desk. I hope I make it to recess. Sweet dreams, she cackles as I close my eyes. Suddenly, the bell rings. I wake up and there's a pretty woman writing her name on the blackboard. The main character wakes up is what? She has real skin and no tail. I'm Mrs. Green, your teacher, she smiles. Mrs. Green is not actually a monster, it is a what? I jump out of my chair, run up and hug her. Well, thank you, she says. I'm glad to be here. Not as glad as I am. The end. Do we have any questions over that at all? Okay. All right, next we are going to be reading another story. I'm going to give you graphic organizers and pieces of paper with key details from the story on them. And as I read the story, you will identify the key details and place them under the correct key details bubble on your graphic organizer. And when you do that, raise your hand and then we'll discuss it. So go ahead and set up however you feel comfortable. And then I'll begin reading. Our next story is Inch by Inch by Leo Leone. One day, a hungry robin saw an inchworm green as an emerald sitting on a twig. He was about to gobble him up. What did you guys get for that one?
One day is a when.
Mm-hmm.
Where's on a twig. And I did who for inchworm.
Okay.
I did Hungry Robin also for who. And then what the robin was going to gobble up the inchworm.
Okay, good. Don't eat me, I'm an inchworm. I'm useful. I measure things. Is that so? Said the robin. Then measure my tail. That's easy, said the inchworm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches. Just think, said the robin, my tail is 5 inches long. And with the inchworm, he flew to where other birds needed to be measured. What did you get for that one?
Inchworm measures different birds' what?
Okay. The inchworm measured the neck of the flamingo.
So flamingo is the
Who? Good job. He measured the toucan's beak,
toucan is a who.
the legs of the heron,
Heron's a who.
the tail of the pheasant,
Pheasant's a who?
and the whole hummingbird.
Who?
One morning the nightingale met the inchworm. "Measure my song," said the nightingale. "But how can I do that?" said the inchworm. "I measure things, not songs." "Measure my song or I'll eat you for breakfast," said the nightingale. Then the inchworm had an idea. "I'll try," he said. "Go ahead and sing." The nightingale sang and the inchworm measured away.
Inchworm measures the nightingale's song.
Okay.
What?
He measured and measured, inch by inch, until he inched out of sight. The end. Good job, you guys did really good. Alright, and then one last story. This time, I will also be reading the story aloud, but you'll do the graphic organizer by yourselves, so you don't need to raise your hand or answer it verbally.
Do we just leave this one away?
Yeah. And I will give tape like you can use to tape the ones down.
Oh, so this one's the one you're grading that one.
Yes.
Okay, there are way too many small pieces.
Okay, our next story is Wemberly Worried by Kevin Hanks. Wemberly worried about everything. Big things, little things, and things in between. Wemberly worried in the morning, she worried at night, and she worried throughout the day. "You worry too much," said her father. "When you worry, I worry," said her father. "Worry, worry, worry," said her grandmother. "You worry too much." At home, Wemberly worried about the tree in the front yard, and the crack in the living room wall, and the noise the radiators made. At the playground, Wemberly worried about the chains on the swing, and the bolts on the slide, and the bars on the jungle gym. And always she worried about her doll Petal. "Don't worry," said her mother. "Don't worry," said her father. But Wemberly worried. She worried and worried and worried. When Wemberly was especially worried, she rubbed Petal's ears. Wemberly worried that if she didn't stop worrying, Petal would have no ears left at all. On her birthday, Wemberly worried that no one would come to her party. "See," said her mother, "there is nothing to worry about." But then Wemberly worried that there wouldn't